Are you burning through lawn care advertising money because of poor decisions or a really bad ROI on lawn care PPC ads? Maybe you're contemplating using pay-per-click advertising to grow your lawn care business, but you've heard some bad stories, possibly from industry peers, or maybe even had a bad experience yourself. You hired an agency to do this for you in the past, and you really didn't see much for your money. Hi, I'm Chad from Landscape Leadership. Today I'm going to give you some very simple but powerful tips on how to use Google Ads to grow your business without getting burned. Stay tuned. I hate wasting money, and I really hate watching other people waste money. But that's what I see a lot of times when I talk to lawn care and landscape companies. I've been in the industry for about 20 years, and so I've swapped horror stories with some of my peers. And now that I work for an agency that helps lawn care companies grow their businesses, I hear even more of these stories. As we covered in our prior videos in this series, there are a lot of problems behind pay-per-click ads. They are common missteps that I see all across the industry, so go back and watch those videos so you can understand what they are. Today, we are going to be talking about problem number 2, and problem number 2 is that most companies really don't understand what they're paying for. There are 2 components of this. On one hand, you have the money that you would be giving to an agency, or should be, to manage these ads and set them up, and on the other hand, you have the money you're giving to Google. It's completely confusing. I empathize with you. There's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of things that you probably won't know in addition to the things that you do. And so what I'm going to do today is kind of break down the basics for you and tell you the important things to make sure that you're not getting burned. So let's cover this first part of this problem, and that is, what should you pay an agency to do? A lot of people try to do their own pay-per-click ads, and as I'll explain later, that's probably a really, really bad move. But when you decide to contract with an agency, what are you really paying them for? I'm a big fan of turning it back around on you. And so just like if you're in the landscape business or the lawn care business, and you would talk to one of your prospective clients and you would say, okay, well, this company over here is cheaper, or this one's charging this much. There's usually a lot behind that. The people that they have working for them, the level of expertise, the level of diligence that they go through. So you kind of get what you pay for when it comes with agencies, for the most part. But there are a lot of agencies that are taking money from lawn care companies, and they are doing pay-per-click ads for them and really not doing a whole lot and just collecting a fee each month. And so that's one thing I want you to make sure that you understand what they should be doing. So when you are paying an agency, you have an hourly rate to contend with. If you're paying a decent agency, they're probably going to be charging you at least $100 an hour. Some of them are really great, and they might even be closer to $200 an hour. So they're going to be doing a lot of things. So there are 2 things that an agency will be doing. In the beginning, they're going to be spending some time setting these campaigns up. So let's talk a little bit about the setup. So what is involved in the setup? So there can be a lot of things with this. The first thing that you'll be doing is either creating or giving them access to an existing Google Ads campaign account. There's going to be some work that's going to be done on your website. And then within this whole project with setup, you have things like getting the access, writing the ads, which there's all these little different bits and pieces, and using some clever copy to construct those ads so people click on yours instead of other people's. The other things is just setting up the campaigns in general, which is there's a degree of time that's associated with that. It's not like they just set up one campaign. There might be 20 different campaigns that they're running. Then there's also the work on the website. So we'll get to that a little bit later, but creating landing pages, which you might have different ones based on the different campaigns you're running. Then there's also the whole part of allocating a budget. So if you have a monthly budget, figuring out, I'm going to spend this bunch of it over here and this much over here. So there's a little bit of work that's associated with that. And then also, as we'll get into here in the latter part of this video, when we talk about how Google charges, there's a good amount of analysis as far as keywords. What keywords are we going after? What are we targeting? What kind of services are we targeting here? And so there's a lot of analysis that goes into that to make sure that they're setting things up right from the beginning. So beyond the setup, then you have the ongoing costs to manage your pay-per-click campaigns for your lawn care company. And so a marketing agency that's helping you out is going to have that hourly rate. So let's say they charge $150 an hour, and their fee for management each month is $750. Well, that's 5 hours of work. So you have some things at minimum that should be happening. Some of those things should be reporting. Some of that can be automated, but if they give you a good level of detail in a reporting, they could spend an hour or more on reporting alone. From that report, then they should be able to pull some analysis out of that, some meaningful things that they're identifying that are problems or opportunities. And so there's a little bit of time that's associated with that as well, at minimum. Then on top of that is, what are they going to do with all that information? And so each month, as we're going to get into this in our next video in this series, there are specific things you can do to lower your cost per click and to increase your conversions and to basically give you a better ROI. So what are you paying them for? That's the thing that you need to be asking yourself, and that's what an agency should be completely transparent with you on what they're charging you for each month and what they're doing for what you're paying them. So the next piece of this puzzle is the component I talked about earlier, and that's how Google is charging. And this is really, really complicated. And so I'm going to try to give you some basic fundamentals so you can understand what's going on here. So there is first the biggest influence, and that's the keyword phrases. So there are literally thousands and thousands of keyword phrases you could go after. Anything from lawn care services to best crabgrass control to lawn services near me to you name it, anything that you can imagine. And so depending if other people are going after this, which is the next point, the competition. So you have, these phrases, and then you have competition that comes in there, and more people are going after the same phrase. It raises the demand up. Basically, Google knows they can get more money for it. So it's an auction. How much are you willing to pay to show up here? And so when you have all these competitors in, and even at certain times a year where there's more competitors, you might notice your cost per click is going up. And then in the dead of summer, when people have exhausted their budgets, maybe your cost per click even goes down because no one else is playing a game, and Google figures, well, we still have to get some kind of money here. And so you might notice some trends that way. The other thing that I just see fundamentally lawn care and landscaping companies really missing, and even marketing agencies missing, is a shame. And it's what's happening to the people that are behind these pay-per-click ads, the people that are clicking this and going somewhere. In my previous video, I used an analogy about a bad pickup line, meaning if that's all you got, you better have something else to follow it up, or else you're not going anywhere. That's the same thing, the same way that an ad works. So if you're giving a really interesting pickup line and somebody's getting there and they're confused and they're looking at stuff for aeration and looking at stuff for mulching and all these different things, they're on a home page, or if they get to a contact page and it doesn't really talk about exactly what I was searching for, it's a bad user experience. And so Google will reward good user experiences, and I guess you could feasibly say penalize bad ones. And so the more people that are getting to a page that makes them convert and makes sense and answers their question and provokes action, the better your cost per click is. So that's a huge, huge, huge impact. Now, all that to be said, there's also from one place to another, completely different. So I can look at one of the campaigns that were running, an exact campaign in Cincinnati, and then look at another one right outside of Washington, D.C. All the rules change. And that happens even within a market. So that's why it's important for your agency to really stay on top of this, because Google will change what they're charging for different types of clicks. And there's constantly moving pieces in here that you need to pay attention to. So a lot of this, you can actually kind of, I don't want to say manipulate, but influence. You can do a lot of things within your ads and within your website to make sure that you're getting a really, really good ROI on lawn care pay-per-click advertising. That's what we're going to cover in our next video. All right, the last piece is probably the question that's rolling around your head, is about money. How much should we be spending for a lawn care company for pay-per-click advertising? And I'm going to encourage you, look in the description below and go back and watch that video on priorities, because there might be some things that you should be spending money on before you do pay-per-click advertising, or maybe in a greater portion. But when you get to this point, when you want to ask the question of how much you should be spending, this is what I think based on what I've seen. You should be paying money to an agency to manage your campaigns. That should be at least $750 a month, maybe even $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000, depending upon how much work you want to do each month to improve your results. The next part of this is Google. How much money should you be giving to Google? Well, as demand goes up, clicks go up. So you're going to be spending more on some months versus others. So in the months of March and April, you're going to see a lot more clicks for lawn care ads than you're going to see in July. So that doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't spend money in those months, because as I said before, you could get a really great ROI because the cost per click might be lower even though the volume's lower. So spend money all year round if you can. At minimum, make sure you're placing ads for at least 5 or 6 months out of the year for peak seasons. But make sure on average, when you take all the months and you average it out, that you're spending about $2,000 a month for Google. Why? I know you're thinking that's a lot of money. Maybe some of you not so much. Because if you don't have a lot of money to gamble at the table with, you're going to be out really soon. It's the same thing if I go to Vegas and I have 25 bucks, I'm probably going to play a hand or two and then I'm going to probably be done. And that's the way that pay-per-click works as well. So you have to have a certain amount of money to come to the table with every single day in order to even show up in these results to have any meaningful impact. So I hope this has helped you. I hope this will help you get a better ROI for your lawn care business. I want to share a story with you at the end to illustrate where you could start from and where you could end up at. One of our clients came to us, very tech-savvy guy, was doing his own PPC lawn care ads. He found out, though, that he was getting a really poor ROI. It just, all the money he was dumping into it really wasn't a good spend. So we took this over and he entrusted us with this. Fast forward a couple months and he has called me and said, stop doing ads. We have way too many leads. They're coming in all over the place. Now, that's a good problem to have. I'm sure after he staffs up a little bit more, he can handle those. But again, it just goes to show that if you do the right things, you can definitely grow your lawn care business and also get a great return on your investment. Thanks a lot. I hope you have a really great day and stop burning through your money.